Spirit Sports Consultants presents
Super wild card weekend. What a great week of football week 18 provided for us. A lot of surprises. The Jaguars being eliminated, the Bills winning the AFC East. Boy, they dominated that game despite the score. Let's take a look first at the AFC matchups, which changed a bit as a result of last night's game with the Bills and the Dolphins. Start off with the 4 versus 5 matchup. Thank you to the Titans for getting my Texans in. They'll be hosting the Browns, who have been dominant on defense all year, and a resurgent Joe Flacco leading the offense on that team. Dolphins at the Chiefs. These teams are a shadow of their former self. They're not quite as good as they were early in the season, especially the Dolphins. There's some concerns there with injuries on defense. And the Steelers sneaking in thanks to the Jaguars losing and a great late season effort. Mason Rudolph's improved that offense. Of course, the defense is always good. And the Bills, we have more to say about them later on. And then looking at the NFC matchups, a lot was decided in Week 18. Green Bay was able to hold off Chicago and get in as the final wild card spot. And then the Lions and Rams will be facing off in the wild card. The return of Matthew Stafford. That should be a really interesting storyline. That's going to be the Saturday night game. We see why. That's a marquee matchup right there. The Eagles and Bucs, both teams are kind of limping into the playoffs right now. The Eagles, what's up with this fall? And then Jalen Hurts looks like he is injured. I can't say hurt. That sounds stupid. And then Green Bay getting in, they're on a little bit of a late season surge, and I think the Cowboys are actually playing some of their best football of the season. And look out for them at home. Despite all the criticism of Dak and everything, that defense has been phenomenal with 2 shutdown corners and a really stout pass rush. Struggle a little bit against the run, but overall that defense is phenomenal. Let's start off with the aforementioned Rams-Lions matchup. Well, the whole city of Detroit's excited for this. This is the marquee matchup, in our opinion, for the whole wild card weekend. These teams are surprisingly evenly matched. Don't look at the seeding, 6 versus the 3. They're very even at quarterback. They run the same style of offense, and their pass defense is equally flawed. We're going to look at the Rams here with the Cup and Nakua. Nakua setting the rookie receiving record. Unbelievable. We know this is a return of Matthew Stafford, who played for the Lions for over 10 years. And I went to several of those games, and I love that guy. But then the Lions present to you a vulnerable secondary. They've got a really good pass rush with Aiden Hutchinson and others. But look at them at home. They average 30 points. I think it's a little higher than that. Strong pass offense, we know. We think that's the difference. This game is going to be razor thin. It's going to be exciting, probably the most entertaining game of the whole wild card weekend, as we said. Look for the Lions here in a close one, 34-31. Once the odds come out, take a look at that over to see what and take that position. Cleveland at Houston. Wow, kudos to my Texans for sneaking into the playoffs the way they did. Great final victory over the Colts. CJ Stroud has just been phenomenal all year. But then also the Browns. Look at what they've done since Joe Flacco has joined the team. Really adding that one element they were lacking. We know they were great on defense, solid running game. But with Flacco and the deep ball, he's really clicking with those receivers. This team is a threat, and we think this is the one team, along with the Bills, that might be able to challenge the Ravens in the AFC. So let's look at what the Browns bring to the table. We mentioned their top defense. We think Jim Schwartz should be a candidate for a head coaching job. He did great when he was with the Lions. Didn't get enough credit because that franchise, has had its issues. Love their run game. And then, as we just said, Flacco with the deep ball really torched the Texans in their first matchup. We think that was a little lopsided because CJ Stroud did not play in that game. So I don't necessarily look at that as a prediction of what's going to happen here. It's totally different teams. Texans are also playing better on defense. So let's take a look at the Texans side of the ball, what they bring. Again, CJ Stroud was in the MVP conversation until he had to sit out 2 games due to concussion, but the statistics are absolutely there. Showed poise against the Colts. And then with that pass rush, Will Anderson Jr. coming on as a rookie, really dominating there. And let's not overlook the Deshaun Watson trade factor. That helped rebuild this team. The Texans received 3 first-round picks and a couple of other picks for that for a player who's not even starting for the Browns now and has been displaced by Joe Flacco due to injury, not performance. But we think, unfortunately, as Texans fans, we're going to see this one to the Browns. We think they are on a mission. We think defense wins in the playoffs. It really does. We think the Texans are going to challenge them. It's not going to be a blowout. We like the Browns here. And before we continue, if you would, just join our channel. And if you like this video or find it useful, like it and then subscribe. We provide weekly NFL picks, highlights, and sports travel. And if you're wondering why you should subscribe, we had another successful week for Week 18. We didn't do as many picks because Week 18, so many unknowns. We did go 6-2 at 5-2 overall games. We really knew the Bills Dolphins. Look at that, 21-17 was our pick. 21-14 was the final, and we a little luck there, always is. We also did our first player prop. We knew that Tua would struggle against that Bills defense. Thought it would thunderstorm. We took them under 265, and we won that. Next up, we've got the Eagles at the Bucs, and what's going on with these two teams? The Bucs have been one of the most inconsistent teams all season. Really, honestly, for us, we have not been able to predict them at all. I think our record is it's ridiculous compared to how we've been able to predict teams like the Lions, Dolphins, and then the Eagles. The question we have is, was the 10-1 start a mirage? We had a conversation when we were in Orlando with an Eagles fan. We were joking. We said, Eagles with a lucky win over the Bills," and he responds, "Well, 10-1 ain't luck." Well, there was a lot of luck in that 10-1. And now they're showing without that luck, they're not being able to win these games. Now let's look at Jalen Hurts. How serious is that injury? Looked pretty bad to us. Middle finger was totally out of whack. And then the pass defense. The pass defense has just been getting torched for the past several games. Looked bad against Dallas. Looked bad against the Giants twice. Got upset by the Cardinals at home. We just don't know what's going on with this team. We think they've got all the talent to beat the Bucs, but are they going to show up and do it? That's the question. Then the Buccaneers, you look at what they've done, as we already picked on them. They've been inconsistent. And then what's the status of Baker? I mean, he's put up great numbers this year, but again, he's been inconsistent. And if this team can put together a consistent performance, they'll probably win by 4. And then their pass defense. The statistics show that they're weak. That has to do also with the teams they've played. But in tough matchups, like when they were on the road at Green Bay, they've shown up and done really, really well. But I think that then comes down to the consistency. Which team is going to show up? That's our question here. In this game, we think the Bucs have a slight edge, being that they're home, and just the way that the Eagles are playing. And then, like we said, looking at Jalen Hurts' injury, that looks pretty significant. So we think the Bucs take this one 27-21 over the Eagles. Now, one of the matchups we're really looking forward to, the Packers and the Cowboys. Wow, what a performance late season by Jordan Love. We kind of been high on him all season. We think he took a lot of criticism early on, but first season starting, it takes a while to kind of get their feet set and get into a rhythm. And also, the Packers had a lot of injuries. Now Green Bay has Aaron Jones back, Jair Alexander, second team All Pro cornerback. That could be a huge difference. And then Jordan Love is playing probably the best football of the season or of his career. So if we look at what the Packers bring to the table, we see a lot of positives, a lot of things to like. And then the first we're going to mention is Jordan Love's performance. We actually thought that the Bears and Justin Fields were going to upset the Packers yesterday, but we kind of underestimated what Jordan Love was going to bring. And then again, talking about that pass defense, we've been saying about all season, waiting for Jair Alexander to come back and thinking that gave the Packers an edge. But he was out for several weeks with that injury, was suspended one game due to an issue with the coin toss. But with him back in the fold, if they can be consistent, that's again one of the Packers' weaknesses this year. We think they've got a chance against the home team Cowboys, who have been playing some of their best football. And again, their home record, we believe they're undefeated at home this year. And then we say they have a diverse pass offense. We think that Dak can spread the ball around, and then 2 shutdown corners with Stephon Gilmore and Deron Bland manning each side, and then with the pass rush, I think the Cowboys have a huge edge. And again, looking at that home dominance, it's like they struggled. The Cowboys struggled several games against the Bills, at the Dolphins. Actually, should have won that game at Miami. And we think they're going to protect the home turf here as much as we like the Packers. It's Jordan Love's first playoff start, whereas Dak Prescott's been through the fire, and especially at home, we think that edge is enough to give the Cowboys the win. Steelers at the Bills. Steelers win into Week 18 with only a small chance of making the playoffs. And look at what Mike Tomlin and that team did. We really think they turned their season around as recently as the Seahawks game, going at Seattle to win as underdogs. Very impressive. And Buffalo, what can you say? Coming all the way from the 11th seed, about 5 weeks ago, to get the 2 and then winning at Miami. But the Steelers, we have some concerns with TJ Watt's injury. If that's the leader of the defense, if he's out for the game, that's going to bring them down a bit. We do think their offense is improving. And then Buffalo, what a turnaround of their season. And what can you say about Josh Allen? I mean, going into Miami, dominating. Look at the stats from last night's game. They had 200 yards more offense. Yeah, it looked like they only won by 7. It looked closer than that, but they had more chances and they kind of missed out on them. We think they're just dominant. We think they, along with the Browns, can truly challenge the Ravens more so than the Chiefs, who are not playing their best football. We think they're going to take it here 24-17. Not counting the Steelers out, we think that Mason Rudolph's been playing great, and we love that defense. Can't say enough about Mike Tomlin, but the Bills are really on a mission, and we see them taking the game here. And finally, we've got the Dolphins at the Chiefs. The Dolphins going the exact opposite direction as the Bills. Not only did they drop from the potential 1 seed a few weeks ago all the way down to the 6 and have to go to Arrowhead to face Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but also their injuries. They've got tons of injuries on the defensive side of the ball, and then Jalen Waddle on the offensive side of the ball could be out. See, they had to rely too much on Tyreek Hill. And last night's game, that's why Tua only put up less than 200 yards, 175. This late season slump is definitely a concern. Like we said, the Dolphins simply aren't the team they were in the first half of the season. And being in South Florida, we see a lot of the games, and we've seen a lot of the interviews. They don't have the same fire, and also playing in a cold weather environment, not good for the Fins. Now let's look at the Chiefs. And does anyone remember the Chiefs are the defending champs? Seems like they're not even discussed in the overall powers of the NFL, and that includes us. But you can't forget them. We almost wonder if they kind of coast during the regular season to get to the playoffs, then turn it up to the next level. But this year, the defense has led the way. They've been inconsistent, but we think Mahomes can come back. Mahomes and Kelce, it's going to be enough. Should be cold, nasty weather up in Arrowhead. We think they'll win this in a close game due to the fact their offense isn't firing on all cylinders as they did last year and in previous seasons. But they should have enough to beat the Dolphins, who, as we said, aren't playing their best football at all.
That's all for this time. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to sharing our future videos with you.